Hi everyone, now I have watched a lot of B-roll videos over the last few years of smartphone filmmaking, and one of the great things about them is you learn so many techniques, but they always seem to be in really stunning locations anyway, so they already look good. Not everybody has beautiful jungles or forests or the most tropical looking beaches to work with, or cityscapes as well that look absolutely stunning to begin with. So today I'm going to show you how to take a really crap location, a really uninspiring location, and turn it into something much more film-like and even cinematic. So if you look at behind me here, we've got shadows that come down from this massive tree. Now shadows are a really amazing way to create B-roll. You don't actually see shadows used often enough in B-roll. So I want to create something a bit quirky, a bit different, and we're going to use the available sunlight that we have now to capture a shot that's really interesting to start off. So we're just going to start off with the camera on the shadows and then work our way up to the tree. Try not to be blinded by the tree so we can see where these shadows are coming from. And we can do more takes if we need to get it nice and smooth. And remember, we're going to add sounds into this later, so we're not going to have to worry too much about external sounds and things like that. So we've got that shot in the bank now. Let's move on to the next. Now the next thing we're going to look at is the intro shot, the introduction to the whole location. Now a lot of people would just use eye-level shots as you're going around for like a hobby, that kind of thing. But we want to make it much more interesting. So rather than having an eye level in the middle of the garage's shot, we're going to have something moving from behind this brick wall here, and we're going to move out, aim this higher, tilt it down, and then you're going to get what's in the gutter, which might not be the nicest thing, but it's going to be interesting. And then we're going to get the garages further down as well. To mix it up, I'm also going to change the focus. So we're going to have a shallow depth of field on the guttering here, and then bring it out to a deeper depth of field from shallow to show the garages. That way we're creating a really interesting intro to the whole location, and it's not just a standalone shot of the garages looking very dull. Get creative, think about everything that's in your environment, and utilize everything. Now this can take quite a few goes because you want to get a shaky shot, and I've got shaky hands, so that's not the best thing to do. Got focus, try it one more time, come across, try and relax your arms a bit. So it's in shallow depth of field on the brick wall, shallow depth of field leaning down on the guttering, and then pulling away into a deep depth of field to reveal the whole location. Much better, much more interesting, and something that's really going to draw people into your B-roll rather than something that's quite standard. Now you may or may not be able to see this, but right now there's a drip coming out of this gutter. Now the whole of this garage location is completely bone dry because of the sun. So capturing something that looks a bit different to the whole location and gives you something that gives you more variety, that's something that's really worth taking notice of. So it's not just about looking at the location and seeing how an average person would see it, it's about seeing it with your creativity and how you see a location and the different things that are unusual. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to capture this drip coming out of the gutter and then capture it landing as well. With some nice music behind it and some sound effects, this is really going to tie together nicely and create something really interesting for this B-roll video. Now I'm not sure how clearly you can see this, but if you look to the top of the garage, it's just here, there's flowers. So what I'm going to do is just raise the camera, go up and reveal the flowers like that. So we're starting maybe on the black guttering and coming up to those flowers. Okay, we're going to start just by the guttering, and then slowly raise the camera, stretching as tall as we can, keeping as steady as we can, and then you can bring it back down, and you can reverse that back and forth as you wish. Now, how you're standing is always a really big part of using handheld shots. So you want to make sure that your feet are fairly planted to the ground. If you've got shaky hands like me, you want to keep your hands as steady around the phone as possible, no kind of like loose hands like that unless you've got really steady hands. So always think about how you're planting your feet and use your body like a gimbal. So here in this uninspiring set of garages and weeds, I'm going to create something really special in this little moment here, and that's what we want to create, is moments in this B-roll, where if we find any insects like this little fly right here, we're going to catch them, change the focus so we can keep them as in focus as possible, and then we're going to create a nice little moment of nature in somewhere that looks completely nature depleted, and we're going to capture something really unique. And you want to surprise the audience as well with your B-roll. If you keep it samey the whole way through, the same angle shots, the same shots of garages or all weeds, it's going to make it really boring. So mix it up, find different things in your environment and look at every nook and cranny. You want to get shots that are unique, tie them together and really tell a story of the world and invite the audience into a world that they didn't think was going to be that interesting and surprise them. So we're getting some nice nature shots of this area, which is very nature depleted, but what about the garages themselves and how can we make them interesting? Well, I found one that's very old and dilapidated, so we're going to look at all this sort of peeled paintwork, and we're going to look at all the details of what makes it look very old and gritty and nasty and worn out and weather worn. In doing this, we're going to elevate something that looks quite mundane into something that looks really interesting and actually brings your eyes into it. So we want to get shots of things like the paint peeling off, maybe moving past it, so we're getting some movement into the shots as well, rolling along, seeing how weather worn this is. We've got the numbers here as well. We could focus on those for a moment. We can look at the woodwork up here that's kind of rotting and gross, the wirework that's peeling. There's a lot of different ways we can capture this, and we're going to add this into the B-roll, and it's going to add something really unique and quirky to it as well, given how old this looks. Now, if you're finding this tutorial useful and of value, then do hit that subscribe button down below and the like button. It really does help this channel grow, and let me know if you're enjoying this video as well. I can make more B-roll tutorials too. Now, my next tip is to use your grid guide on your phone. Now, you have that built into your iPhone, your native iPhone app, and I'm sure you would do with Android as well. So you just turn it on in your settings, get the grid guide on your phone, and what that does is it gives you different points on the screen. So where the lines meet in different points, it shows your audience where you want them to look. So right now I've got the grid guide here, and I'm using the points of interest where the lines join to mark out the garages on the right, the garages on the left, and what that does is it means a leading path for the audience's eyes straight down the middle to the end of this path from this road. So that way I'm guiding the audience using the framing. So use your framing to capture really nice subjects in a way that's going to capture your audience's imagination. And I'm going to push in and start walking forwards, so we're going to start using this shot to create something really interesting. So I'm using the grid guide to put the garages to left and right, using the middle square of this grid to create the focal point in the middle. I'm just moving steady as I can, tucking the arms in, going down the center. Now this might not look so smooth now. When I put in some post stabilization, you're going to see something quite special. Now something that's really interesting to create is a push-in. So I'm going to set my first point here with point A, then get closer up, set point B. That way when I press on B, it'll move to the second focus point. I can move with that focus movement, time it, and that way you get a really nice smooth push-in. And seeing this plant growing out from concrete will be a really nice standout moment in the B-roll. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these clips together, show you the finalized product, take the sound out of the clips that I've got live from this location, because we've got planes above us, we have people walking past, talking, that kind of stuff. And we're going to put in a completely new different soundtrack to really transform this. And I'm going to up the saturation a little bit and the warmth of the shots so we can see a more inspiring version of these garages. Let's see how it came together. Now guys, if you've got any tips to make this uninspiring location inspiring, then do let me know in the comments down below. If you want to learn more about Cinema P3 Pro Camera, the app that I was using for this video, then check out my tutorial for that right here, right now. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye bye.